Welcome, I'm the Word Nerd, and in this video we're going to be doing a background information study on the book of Colossians. I have a new guide and a new template, and it will be available for purchase on my shop. Free templates and guides are still available on my website if you are looking for a free version of this. The newer versions that I'm coming out with will be on my shop for purchase. It's a couple of bucks. And then also there is my new, I guess you'd call it an ebook, the Bible mapping system, which has every single new template and every single new guide expanded. And it's an ebook that includes all the guides and all of the templates as well. I'm going to be just showcasing the new templates and the new guides in individual videos. Eventually I'll get to showing basically my Bible study system, which I'm calling the Bible mapping system, the Bible study system. So yeah, you can check out my website. It'll be linked below if you want a free version. My website will be linked below as well. It's not going to be the exact thing, but it is very similar. So yeah, thanks for your support. Let's just jump into this video. So Bible background information provides the extra knowledge that we need as readers, separated by thousands of years from the culture and context required to comprehend the Bible. So this comprises details such as the author, the primary audience, and the genre of the book. When was this written, and what historical and cultural context can assist us in understanding foreign customs or historical events? So we want to implement this kind of study for every book found in the Bible. So eventually you should end up with 66 of them. And so how can we discover this information is a good place to start. So a good study Bible normally has, book intros, and they have a lot of this information in it. A Bible dictionary also serves as a good resource for this information as well. So a Bible dictionary is a good study Bible. Then, there's free versions available, and then you can get the physical versions, and Logos Bible software is an excellent software to gather that information too with the digital books and things. So those are where you can find them. So I'm going to mainly focus on using the NLT Illustrated Study Bible. It has a lot of this information in it. I also did look at my other study Bibles and my other commentaries or my other Bible dictionaries, what I really meant to say as well. I like to look at all of them. Most of them are very similar, but some of them have, a little bit different. But I'm mostly focusing on using this Bible. So who is the author of the book? So who wrote the book? So sometimes, especially within the New Testament, it's written in the text itself. So Colossians talks about Paul being the author in the first verse of the book. Paul, an apostle of Jesus Christ by the will of God, and Timothy, our brother, or Timothy, our brother. So it's Paul and Timothy who is the author. And then you just go down the line at the other information. So original audience. So that's in the very next verse, in verse 2, to the saints and faithful at Colossae. And then also with the original audience, we don't just want to know like the saints and faithful of Colossae. We want to know what groups do that make up, right? So is it Gentiles? Is it Jews? Who is he really writing to? And so the majority at Colossae is Gentiles, but there are Jews there as well. So we just want to make sure that we keep in mind for interpretation purposes. So the third thing is, what is the literary style? So in what genre did the author write? So some examples are like narrative, which is like stories. Historical narrative is like history and story form. Poetry, prophecy, wisdom, and so on and so forth. So for the literary style of this, probably on the top of your Bible, if you're looking at a Bible, it will say the epistle or something like that. It just means a letter. So this is just a letter to the Colossae church, so the Colossians. So this is a letter from Paul to the Colossians. So we call it epistle. It just means letter. So that's the kind of genre that you want to write down. It's just going to have, it's a letter and it's going to have truths in it. So the fourth thing that we want to make sure we kind of understand is, when was the book written? During what time did the writing of the book occur? And do we know any of the exact dates? So because this is in the New Testament, we want to go with more of the exact date. So traditionally, this was written in 60 to 62 AD. However, there is some evidence saying that possibly earlier, in the early 50s AD. And you can kind of look into why that's the case. But this is definitely after the resurrection. So if you're looking for a time period, so we should interpret accordingly to that. The next thing is, where was this written from? Can we know, where was it written from? Is there any information regarding the location of where this book was written? So traditionally, this book was written from Rome while Paul was in jail. However, if it was written earlier in the 50s, it was possibly written from Ephesians or another city where he also served a little bit of prison time. And in Colossians 4:18, you see that he is, in prison. He's in bonds, as the KJV says. So he's writing from prison. The next step on my study guide is figuring out the setting of the book, but in the video that you're watching, I actually just go to the next section, which is referencing the people and locations mentioned in the book. I think this is a great idea, identifying these people and the locations, because I think it will help us to it helps to piece together the, chronological order and where people are mentioned, because sometimes the people are mentioned like maybe once in the entire Bible and you're like, what, who is that? So I think this is a great thing, because you can put this in the beginning of your book, or in your, this information in the beginning of your journaling Bible, or in your study binder, or whatever the case may be. And so for this, I am using the Fresh Look Bible. I have a whole video on their amazing format and color code, and it makes it so easy. So people are blue in this Bible, and then locations are green. So it makes it really easy for me to pick out the people mentioned in this book, and also the locations. And that's what you see me doing. I'm using the Fresh Look Bible. You can check out my video on, the whole thing. But it has an amazing format, and it has a color code. It's the most interesting and fascinating Bible I've ever seen. And so, yeah, that's what I'm just doing. I'm going through and looking for the names, the people mentioned, and the location. So Paul, Timothy, Barnabas, Justus, Luke, Demas, Nymphius, Archippus. I don't know. There's a lot of names that I cannot even pronounce. And then locations is Colossae, Laconia, and Hierapolis. Yeah. Something like that. Again, I can't say them or sound them out. So, but this Fresh Look Bible really helps with this, because it just pops out at you using the color code. I absolutely love this Bible. And you can check out my full video on reviewing it if you would like. Just look up Fresh Look Bible, the word nerd, and it'll pop up. So the next thing is, there are another kind of section that you see me highlighting right now, and this is a blank section. So you can use this as a mini location study, a mini character study if you want. You can use it for whatever other notes you want. So I wrote just some notes about Colossae, so the location, and some just interesting facts that I found. So Colossae is 120 miles east of Ephesus in the province of Asia. Philemon was a resident of here, so like the book of Philemon. And the Bible never reports that Paul visited Colossae. However, we know that he was connected to the believers there through Epaphras. I don't know how to say that, but it's in the first chapter in the book of Colossians. I can't read his name. So I just used that to write down some interesting facts that I learned about Colossae. Like I said, you can do a mini character study there, and also the square below it, you can also do like a mini character study and a mini location study if you want, all on the background information template here, because there are other templates for a full-blown character study, a full-blown location study, so you can do what you want. You got some freedom there, as the other things are kind of labeled. So the next thing we're going to talk about is the setting. So what events occurred during the period when the book was written, and when it was written, and maybe why can we know like why it was written. So the setting is just the events, culture, and history around the book. So yeah, the NLT Illustrated Study Bible has an amazing information for the setting. Of course, most study Bibles probably do. And then you just, write the information down that you want to make sure that, like, you have when you go back to, read this book again or whatever, or, like, question, like, who was the author of this, or, like, what was some information on the setting, like, who, what people were actually in this book, so any kind of information about that. So I'm just going to read what I wrote down for you. So Paul mentions Epaphras, I don't know how to say his name, as the one who first brought the good news to the Colossians. So he was probably converted during Paul's 3-year ministry in Ephesus. Ephesus, it does mention, I think it was in Acts, or maybe it was in Ephesians, I can't remember, that, all around Ephesus, people were hearing the gospel, so that's probably where that guy first heard it. So Ephesus was Ephesus was the commercial and governmental center for the province, which also included Colossae. So Paul was the spiritual father of Ephesus, I know I'm saying that wrong, and the spiritual grandfather of their church, so he wrote with both an apostolic, apostle authority, and also personal caring, as well, if you read the book of Colossians. Dude, my English cannot. Oh my goodness. Okay, so when Colossians were written, Epaphras was visiting Paul in prison, and he told Paul about some of the difficulties the young church was going through. So he was especially concerned about some false teachers in Colossae who were emphasizing the importance of spiritual rules and authority and spiritual powers of this world. So Paul wrote to address these issues. So Ephesians, Colossians, Philemon, and Philippians are referred to as the prison letters. All 4 were written while Paul was in prison, and those 4 letters were probably written around the same time and maybe in the same place. So that's why a lot of them say, it was written from Rome. Paul also mentioned some of the same co-workers in those letters. So Onesimus and Tychicus, again, I'm not saying that right, delivered the letter to Colossae, as well as a letter to the church of Laodicea. I don't know how to say it. Anyway, it's in chapter 4, verse 16, that they were supposed to exchange both of the letters and read both of them. And that city and Colossae was pretty close together. So, yeah. My English, I am so sorry for mispronouncing. Not my greatest thing of pronouncing names and knowing how to pronounce odd names of cities and people, but forgive me for that. But I hope you are inspired and encouraged to dig deeper into the Word of God. Like I said, new guides and templates are available on my shop, so definitely check those out and see what you want to get. If you want to buy individual ones, that's a great option. They're only a couple of bucks. You can also buy my ebook, which has a lot more in-depth explanation, and it also includes all of the new guides and all of the new studies. New video will be coming out on, that, but this is the one that I could get done for you guys. So, hope you are inspired and encouraged. Remember, God loves you and He's always with you. And I'll see you in the next video. Okay, bye!